Hi everyone, I'm Sleepless Scientist. Tonight we're diving into something huge, something colossal, something that doesn't just bend your mind, it folds it into origami and mails it to another galaxy. Right now you're lying there, probably in your bed, or curled up on the couch, scrolling on your phone with one eye open. Maybe the lights are dim, or you've got a cat sleeping like a loaf on your chest. The universe, it's just outside. Quiet, massive, and oddly calm for something that contains, well, everything. You've probably looked up at the stars and wondered what's out there. But tonight you're not just wondering, you're going to travel through it. Through size, through scale, through things so big, your brain will try to politely decline understanding them. But don't worry. You won't need a passport. Just a bit of imagination and maybe some tea. I'd love to know where in the world you're listening from and what time it is for you. Let me know in the comments below. I'm always curious where these quiet little science stories are drifting to and if this video helped you while you were there. Now relax, take a deep breath, and join me gently on this evening's journey. You're lying on your back staring up. The ceiling above you isn't a ceiling anymore. It's sky. Inky slow and spotted with stars that have been dead longer than the word star has existed, but they still shine for you. Your fingers curl slightly. Maybe they're resting on a blanket or a pillow. You can feel the smoothness of cotton or the slight static cling of a phone charger you forgot to unplug. It's a nice feeling. But what you don't feel is motion. And yet right now you're moving. Fast. Yes, tiny, you are spinning at about 1/600 kilometers per hour, thanks to Earth's rotation. That's roughly as fast as a bullet. Nice. And you're also orbiting the sun at 107,000 km, a bit faster than your morning commute. But the best part, the sun itself is orbiting the center of the galaxy at about 828,000 km. The whole solar system is whipping through the Milky Way like a galactic frisbee. You don't feel it though. None of us do. We just lie here yawning, wondering if we remembered to turn the stove off. But tonight, we're zooming out. You close your eyes and let the room slip away. Your city fades. The continents melt into the blue of oceans. And there you are, floating in space, looking back at Earth, a marbled orb wrapped in light and weather clinging to nothing. From up here, you start to see scale in a new way. You remember that mountain range you saw on vacation, the Grand Canyon, Mount Everest, big right? Well, compared to Earth, even Everest is a zit. Compared to the universe, it's a subatomic pimple. Let's start small. The tallest building in the world right now is the Burj Khalifa. You could stack 10 of them and still not scratch the stratosphere. Mount Everest, 8.8 kilometers high. Not bad. The Mariana Trench, 11 kilometers deep. Also impressive. But Earth's diameter over 12,700 kilometers. So even if you shoved Everest inside the planet like a toothpick in a grape, it wouldn't touch the core. And Earth is frankly puny. The gas giant Jupiter is 11 times wider than Earth. You could fit 1/300 Earths inside it. Imagine a bowl of Earth-shaped gumballs. Jupiter's just over there munching away. But then comes the sun, our star. A blazing ball of nuclear plasma that holds 99.8% of all the mass in the entire solar system. It's so big it makes Jupiter look like a vitamin gummy. You could fit about 1.3 million Earths inside the sun. Let me repeat that. 1.3 million. You'd think something that big would feel solid, safe. But if you tried to land on the sun, you'd fall through it. There's no solid surface. Just layers of ionized gas so hot your atoms would vaporize before you could say SPF 1 million. Here's a weird fact: if the sun were the size of a white blood cell, the Milky Way would be the size of the continental United States. Yes, the galaxy is that much bigger. And no, your coffee is not strong enough for this. So far, everything you've seen, the buildings, the oceans, the mountains, even the moon, have existed on human scales. The kinds of distances and sizes our bodies can sort of feel in the bones. But that's over now. We're moving into a place where metaphors start breaking. Scientists still debate what the largest thing really means. Is it volume, mass, influence, structure? Or just raw absurdity? Well, guess what? You'll meet them all. And right now, the thing you're feeling most isn't just smallness. It's weightlessness. You're hovering in space, holding nothing, pulled by no ground. The silence is huge. There's no wind, no birds, not even the comforting buzz of a refrigerator. It's a vacuum. Space doesn't hum. It just is. And still the earth hangs there behind you, delicate, busy, ignorant of how truly not big it is. A fun aside before we go, crocodiles once used a kind of poop as sunscreen. Yes, I'm serious. They'd rub their own dung on their skin to protect against the sun. Nature's very own SPF gross. Why do I bring this up? To remind you that large doesn't always mean important, and small doesn't mean insignificant. Because somewhere floating gently in this giant soup of stars is you. Listening, thinking, drifting between curiosity and sleep. Let's keep floating. You drift a little farther out now, just a few million kilometers. No big deal. You blink, and the earth and moon shrink to two little dots dancing around each other like fireflies on a summer night. Behind them, the sun still glows like a candle, if candles were capable of fusing hydrogen atoms and casually emitting the power of billions of hydrogen bombs every second. You watch as it keeps everything in your solar system locked in a gravitational ballet. The planets, their moons, those dusty asteroid leftovers, and the odd drunk comet that forgets its orbit every few millennia. But if you're still thinking the sun is a big deal, let's be real, it's not. It's painfully average. You heard that right. Our precious, life-giving, selfie-perfect lighting source is a G-type main sequence star. That's astronomy speak for pretty meh. So to find something big, really big, you zoom farther. You pass Mercury, that crispy little marble. Then Venus, always glowing like it's wearing too much blush. Then Earth again briefly, and Mars red dusty with real estate ads waiting for Elon Musk to call. Past Jupiter with its storm the size of Earth-Saturn, with its wedding ring made of shattered moons, and then those icy loners, Uranus and Neptune, sulking in the cosmic back row. Now pause. Look behind you. The solar system is shrinking. The planets are barely golf balls. The sun is dimming into the background. You realize the space between things is terrifying. It's not like driving between cities, it's like driving between atoms. At this point, you're no longer just measuring distance in kilometers. You're measuring in astronomical units. 1 AU is the distance from the Earth to the Sun, about 150 million kilometers. Pretty manageable if you're a beam of light. Then you get to Pluto, demoted, but still beloved, and the Kuiper Belt, full of icy leftovers, like your freezer's forgotten peas. And finally, the heliopause. This is the edge of the sun's influence. Past here, the solar wind gives up. It's like the last stop before your flashlight dies. Everything beyond is interstellar space, the real Wild West. Let's pause here to consider something delightfully confusing. The solar system doesn't have a wall. It fades out like a campfire into the night. And that's when you meet Voyager 1, a tiny metal rectangle still pinging data back to Earth after more than 40 years. It carries a golden record just in case some alien decides to play DJ, with greetings from Earth and Chuck Berry's Johnny B. Good. Because why not? As you wave at Voyager, you feel the urge to look back again. But don't. You're going to need your focus. Ahead lies the next massive leap in size, the Milky Way galaxy. Let's get you oriented. You are right now inside an enormous swirling disk of gas-dust stars and dark matter about 100,000 light-years across. A light-year, by the way, is the distance light travels in 1 year. About 9.5 trillion kilometers. Yes, that's trillion with a T. Multiply that by 100,000, and you're starting to understand why your GPS gave up. Your sun. Just one of about 200 to 400 billion stars in this thing. Many with their own planets. Some with moons. Others with rings or storms or atmospheres thick with methane and alien lightning. You zoom out even more. Now imagine the entire solar system as smaller than a dust mote swirling somewhere inside this glowing galactic pinwheel. The Milky Way looks like a glowing frisbee thrown by a god with really excellent wrist technique. Its arms twist with stars, and its center, called the galactic bulge, is stuffed with old stars and a giant black hole named Sagittarius A. Yes, it has a name. No, it does not have a Yelp page. Sagittarius A is about 4 million times the mass of our sun, but it just sits there in the middle of the galaxy, like a mysterious grandparent no one talks about at dinner. Scientists still debate how such massive black holes formed so early in the universe. Were they born big? Did they grow slowly? Or did they just show up uninvited like cosmic party crashers, back to size for a moment? If you could drive across the Milky Way at 100 km/h, never stopping, you'd need over 1 billion years to cross it. Even if you sped up to light speed, it would still take 100,000 years. Hope you packed snacks. Here's a weird little fact for you. Bananas are slightly radioactive. No, they won't glow in the dark, but because of their potassium content, they emit tiny amounts of radiation. It's called the banana equivalent dose. So next time you eat one, just pretend you're ingesting a tiny galactic flare. Delicious. Back to the stars. There are regions in our galaxy called stellar nurseries, clouds of dust where new stars are being born right now. And there are also globular clusters, which sound like something you'd get on your foot, but are actually ancient star cities orbiting the galactic halo. And in this vastness, your planet is rotating around a very average star, tucked away in a minor arm called the Orion Spur, like a forgotten suburb of the galaxy. So, what have we learned? Everything you know, every building, every song, every heartbreak, every game of hide and seek has taken place inside one tiny corner of one average galaxy, in a universe filled with trillions more. And yet, you're still here, still thinking, still listening, still wondering. Let's zoom out again. You keep floating. The Milky Way fades behind you like a spinning vinyl record, and before you even have time to process what that means. What it really means, you notice something that shouldn't exist: more galaxies. Everywhere. Like glitter flung across black velvet. What you once thought was emptiness turns out to be outrageously crowded. You drift farther, and the Milky Way becomes just one point in a loose gathering of galaxies known as the local group. It's kind of like a galactic neighborhood, with us living next to the Andromeda Galaxy, a much larger, shinier sibling, who's heading our way for a very slow-motion collision. ETA about 4 billion years. In home. No rush. You'll have time to finish your Netflix queue. Andromeda's majestic. Twice the number of stars, longer spiral arms, a show-off for sure. But it's not alone. There are about 54 galaxies in the local group, most of them small, scrappy, and irregular shaped, like cosmic pebbles orbiting their flashier friends. But even this gathering, our local group, isn't the whole story. Zoom out again. Now those 54 galaxies, just one tiny dot in a far bigger structure. Welcome to the Virgo supercluster. Think of a supercluster as a galaxy theme park. The Virgo supercluster contains over 100 groups of galaxies, including our own. And like everything else in space, it's not still, it's moving. The galaxies are gliding through space, pulled by gravity, pushed by expansion, and swirling like soap in a cosmic sink. And now we hit one of the weirdest parts: structure. From this distance, you start to see it, the cosmic web. It looks like a spider's silk stretched across unimaginable distances. Filaments of galaxies form bright, tangled threads, in between immense voids, not just empty, emptier than anything you've ever imagined. Areas of space where there may be virtually nothing, no galaxies, no stars, no atoms for millions of light years. The universe isn't randomly sprinkled, it's organized, like a mind-bending version of bubble wrap. And your local group, it's flowing. You're part of a stream of galaxies drifting towards something massive, the Great Attractor. We don't entirely know what it is. It may be a dense region of space pulling us all like a cosmic drain. Or maybe it's just a statistical illusion. Scientists still debate whether the Great Attractor is a thing or a trick of motion. Oh, and the Great Attractor. It's part of an even larger structure. It's called Laniakea, which in Hawaiian means immense heaven, and it is a supercluster made of superclusters. It stretches over 500 million light years. The Milky Way is just one string in that harp. Picture it like this: if galaxies are houses and clusters are neighborhoods, then superclusters are cities. Laniakea, that's a continent, with traffic movement and gravitational boundaries that only make sense if you're thinking in billions of years. Here's a bizarre fact for your pillow: the average human body contains about 0.2 milligrams of gold. That's right. You're technically treasure. Not enough to pawn, unfortunately, but enough to feel a bit smug next time you look in the mirror. Let's talk speed for a moment. Right now, you are drifting at hundreds of kilometers per second, not relative to the Earth, but relative to the cosmic microwave background, that faint afterglow from the Big Bang. This drift tells us something: our galaxy is moving towards something enormous and mysterious. And as you pull back even farther past Laniakea, past the local walls of galaxies, you encounter something that breaks your brain a little. The Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall. It's not a literal wall, no. No bricks, no graffiti, no cosmic protest posters. But it's a vast structure of galaxies stretching more than 10 billion light years across. 10 billion. That's almost the size of the observable universe itself. How could something that big even form? We don't know. Honestly, scientists still debate whether this structure breaks the rules of cosmic isotropy. The idea that the universe is the same in every direction. If this wall really is what it seems, it could challenge our entire understanding of the Big Bang model. And here's the weird part. It was discovered by accident. Scientists studying gamma-ray bursts, giant explosions from distant galaxies, noticed they were all clumped together in one spot of the sky. That clump, the Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall. Imagine discovering a mountain range by noticing your car radio keeps losing signal in the same spot. That's how accidental this discovery was. And you floating here are beginning to feel it. Not fear, not confusion. Something gentler. Awe. The kind of quiet awe that makes your fingers twitch and your breath slow. You're beginning to understand that the largest thing in the universe might not be a thing at all, but a pattern. A ripple of galaxies. A whisper from gravity stitched into the very shape of everything. By the way, just for kicks, octopuses have 3 hearts, which means they probably get triple heartburn when you forget to feed them. Back to the wall. If the Hercules Corona Borealis structure really is what we think it is, it would have taken nearly the entire age of the universe just to form. It shouldn't exist, not according to current models. And yet, it's there. So you float surrounded by ideas too big to hold and distances too far to imagine. But somehow, it still feels intimate. The galaxies swirl like embers in a quiet bonfire. And you are right here watching. So what's next? You've seen stars, galaxies, groups, clusters, superclusters, and now, the biggest known structure. Surely that's it. That's the top. Right, not quite. You stretch farther into the dark, farther than anyone has ever been. Even imagination starts panting, trying to keep up. Behind you trails a breadcrumb path of galaxies, clusters, filaments, walls. All those vast structures you floated through. They're shrinking now. Not in reality, of course, but in your sense of scale, which, let's be honest, was already on life support. Now you float in something new. Silence with a capital S. You feel the cold in a theoretical way. Space doesn't actually feel cold unless you touch something. But your thoughts do. They slow. They crystallize. You're no longer surrounded by stars. You're surrounded by nothing. And that's the point. Tonight, you've reached the voids. Not poetic voids, literal ones. Cosmic voids are regions of space where there's essentially nothing. No galaxies, no stars, not even rogue atoms having a midlife crisis. Some of these voids are hundreds of millions of light years across. They make the Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall look like the ornate trim around an empty picture frame. Here's a wild image. The observable universe is shaped like Swiss cheese. Galaxies and clusters form the cheese and the voids. Those are the holes. Only unlike real cheese, these holes are bigger than anything else. Some are so large that if you started traveling at light speed from one side, you'd arrive at the other in a billion years, without seeing anything along the way. Scientists still debate how these voids came to be so large. Did dark matter evacuate the space? Did quantum fluctuations during inflation create these vast empty patches? Or are we just terribly unlucky in where we're standing? What's even stranger, these voids are crucial. They shape how galaxies form, like pressure ridges in dough. Without voids, you don't get the filaments. Without filaments, no clusters. Without clusters, no galaxies. Without galaxies, no cat videos. Speaking of cats, fun fact. Your feline friend's purr vibrates between 25 and 150 hertz. That's the same frequency range used in physical therapy to promote healing. So yes, your cat is technically a fuzzy, judgmental medical device. Let's climb back out of the void. You coast back toward the cosmic web. The filaments seem to ripple gently, pulsing, like the neurons of a sleeping mind. That's no coincidence, by the way. Brain scans and simulations of the universe look eerily alike. That's right. The structure of the human brain and the universe appear uncannily similar. Same branching, same nodes, same filaments. Just vastly different in scale. So now a question creeps in quietly, like a whisper in a museum. Where does it end? Is this it? You've seen the biggest walls, crossed the most empty expanses, watched galaxies blur into threads. Maybe the biggest thing in the universe is the universe itself, but that's where things get slippery. Because the next step isn't just zooming out, it's stepping outside. You begin to feel it now, that boundary. Not a wall, not a shell, but a limit. The edge of what we can see. It's called the observable universe. Roughly 93 billion light years across. Why so big if the universe is only 13.8 billion years old? Now we've hit the good stuff. Space itself is expanding, not like an explosion, but like a balloon inflating. Every second, the very fabric of the cosmos stretches. And because of that, some regions are moving away from us faster than light. That's not illegal. Space isn't in space. It is space. It can stretch however fast it wants. So things farther than a certain distance, they'll never be visible. Not because they don't exist, but because their light will simply never reach us. Not now. Not ever. This is the cosmic horizon. Everything beyond it, pure speculation. So here's where it gets philosophical. Is the observable universe the largest thing? Is that just what we can know? Scientists still debate whether the universe is finite or infinite. Some think it loops around like a four-dimensional donut. Others think it's infinite, no edge, no center, no boundary. And some quietly admit we just don't know. We might never know. Here's a wonderfully useless tidbit: wombat poop is cube-shaped. No one's quite sure why. But it helps the poop stay put and mark territory. The universe full of mysteries. Wombats also full of mysteries. Back to you. You're hovering now at the very edge of knowing. Behind you is everything light, time, structure, memory. Ahead of you is maybe more, maybe not. But here's the catch: this edge, it's moving. Every moment more space becomes visible. Light that's just now arriving from places unfathomably far away. That means your view of the universe is always expanding, even if the universe itself might not be infinite. So when we ask what is the largest thing in the universe, maybe we're asking the wrong question. Maybe the better question is, how much of the universe are we allowed to see? And if we're only seeing a drop, what kind of ocean are we in? You blink, you breathe, you float. The edge is still ahead. Let's go there next. You take a breath, though, of course there's no air where you are, and press on. Past the edge, past the boundary, past the comforting, measurable sphere of the observable universe. The truth is, you don't actually leave the observable universe. You can't. That term isn't a place, it's a limit. It defines how far light has had time to travel since the universe began. It's the edge of your cosmic bubble. And now you're pressing your imagination right up against its shimmering mathematical skin. Beyond this bubble, uncharted territory. You don't see blackness. You see potential. Not darkness, but uncertainty. The most delicious kind. Maybe out here the universe continues. More stars, more galaxies, more clusters, more of everything. Infinite repetitions of the same physics. The same atoms, the same laws. Or maybe not. Here's a thought that might wrinkle your sheets a little. If the universe is infinite and matter is arranged more or less randomly, then somewhere out there there's another version of you, lying in bed, listening to this same story, maybe with a slightly different laugh, maybe with slightly better hair. In this idea, the infinite universe hypothesis, every possible arrangement of atoms exists somewhere, including galaxies made of diamond, including squirrels that invented calculus, including a version of Earth where sloths run the UN. Is it real? Scientists still debate it. Infinity is tricky like that. It always comes with philosophical fine print. But just when you think you've grasped something solid, some massive, ultimate, largest thing along, comes a theory that kicks over the whole table like a toddler in a sugar rage. Enter inflation theory. Shortly after the Big Bang, the universe didn't just expand, it inflated. Faster than the speed of light. Space itself doubled and doubled again and again, like popcorn in a microwave gone rogue. This event, lasting a fraction of a second, made the universe flat, uniform, and weirdly massive. And that means what we call our universe could be just a bubble in a sea of bubbles, each one inflating, bursting, or drifting in a metacosmic froth. This is the multiverse idea. It's not sci-fi anymore. Not entirely. Some versions imagine each universe with different physical laws. In one, gravity might be stronger. In another, time might go sideways. In another, Shrek might have won an Oscar for Hamlet. It's not that we know these other universes exist. We just don't know they don't. Mathematically, they're plausible. Observationally, out of reach, at least for now. You pause for a second. You feel tiny again, but also strangely connected. If the multiverse is real, then so is the possibility of everything. It's humbling and kind of exciting. Here's a fact to help ground you. Sharks existed before trees. Yeah, sharks have been around for over 400 million years. Trees, only about 350 million, which means the ocean's weirdest residents have been circling the planet longer than forests have had a chance to gossip about it. Now back to your interuniversal drift. One model of the multiverse, called the eternal inflation model, suggests new universes are still popping into existence, constantly, like champagne bubbles at an endless party. Each bubble expands into its own space-time, each with its own constants, each with its own Big Bang. And we just live in one of those bubbles, which would make the multiverse itself the largest thing. Except, it might not be a thing. It might be a process of creation, of bubbling and branching and unfolding, with no beginning, no end, just becoming. It's a lot to take in, especially when you're also half asleep. But here's something quieter to consider. Even if the multiverse exists, and we are just one bubble among trillions, even if everything we know is just a speck of foam in some unknowable mega ocean, you're still here, listening, wondering, existing at this one cosmic address. And that gives the whole multiverse, however enormous, a very specific meaning, because it's being observed by you. Back to structure. The multiverse has no center, no edge. It's not a balloon. It's more like a fractal. Infinite in detail, infinite in scale. The farther you zoom, the more it unfolds. And maybe, just maybe, it's not even made of space as we know it. Some physicists argue the real foundation of everything isn't space or time or matter. It's information, bits, code, interactions. That the entire universe might be something like a computation playing itself out according to rules so deep we mistake them for laws of nature. What's the largest thing in that universe? Maybe it's not a thing at all. Maybe it's a pattern, or a thought. Or maybe it's a dream. And somewhere in the folds of this endless, wordless everything, you're dreaming it. You don't wake up, not yet. You're still floating, still gently pressed against the edge of comprehension, like a cat pawing at a mirror. Only now you begin to sense something even stranger than scale. Time. It doesn't feel as steady here. You glance over your shoulder back at the universe you just crossed. Every structure, every pattern, every spinning galaxy, every stretch of emptiness, all of it was not just arranged across space, but through time. You see, size in the universe isn't just measured in distance. It's measured in age. That galaxy over there. The light just reached us. It's already 13 billion years old. That glow in the background, that's the cosmic microwave background, a fossil of the oldest light we can see. It's not just far away, it's from the earliest possible time. You're now drifting toward that ancient wall of light. the limit of vision, the place where space and time meet in a kind of fuzzy primordial fog. It's not bright. It's not hot. It's cold. Just 2.7 Kelvin above absolute zero, but it burns with meaning. This radiation was emitted when the universe was only 380,000 years old, a baby wrapped in hydrogen. Before that, the universe was too dense, too hot, too opaque for light to travel freely. You're looking at the very first time the universe took a breath and said, "Okay, now you can see." And what do we see when we see patterns? Tiny ripples in the microwave background, barely perceptible. But those ripples, they're the seeds of everything. Every star, every planet, every joke, every breakup playlist, you can trace it back to those ripples. They weren't uniform. Some spots were a tiny bit denser, others less so. Over billions of years, gravity turned those fluctuations into galaxies, into us. And here's the mind stretcher: those ripples came from quantum fluctuations. Tiny, random wiggles at subatomic scales stretched to galactic proportions by cosmic inflation. Imagine sneezing and accidentally inventing a planet. That's basically what happened. Scientists still debate how those fluctuations were magnified and why they created the specific patterns we see. But the bottom line is this: the largest thing in the universe, the entire structure, may have been sculpted by the smallest forces imaginable. This is the poetic punchline. The bigness of everything born from the randomness of nothing. Let that sit with you. And speaking of wild facts, here's a tasty one. Honey never spoils. Jars of it have been found in ancient Egyptian tombs, still perfectly edible after 3,000 years. The universe may crumble, but apparently your tea will always be sweet. Back to our journey. You hover just inside the edge of the observable universe. It's not a solid wall. It's a timeline, a sphere of ancient light from every direction, stretching 13.8 billion years into the past. And it's still expanding. Remember, light from the early universe is just now arriving. Every second, photons that have been traveling for eons finally get here like postcards from long-lost galaxies. And every one of those postcards paints a bigger, stranger picture of reality. You gently turn to face a new question. If time and space are linked, and you've reached the outer edge of space, what does that say about time? Is time itself the largest thing? Or is it an illusion, a side effect of entropy, a trick played by our limited perspective? After all, to a photon traveling at the speed of light, there is no time. The instant it leaves a star, it also arrives in your eye. You, on the other hand, you age, you change, you collect seconds like grains of sand in your pocket. Some fall out, some get stuck in the lint. And the universe, it ages too. Galaxies burn their fuel. Stars collapse. Atoms decay. The whole cosmos evolves. Not like a static sculpture, but like a vast symphonic river. So maybe the largest thing in the universe is process. Not a thing, but a becoming. A living, expanding, twisting story with you as a comma on page 3, 149, 6,000. Let's ground this again. Here's something odd. The Eiffel Tower can grow taller in summer, up to 15 centimeters. Why? Because metal expands with heat. Even in something as solid as iron, change is constant. So is time. And now you feel it. Not just the scale of things, but the motion. Not just how far things stretch, but how long they've lasted. From quantum jitters to galaxy walls, everything you've seen tonight is part of a single unfolding. The largest thing in the universe might not be visible. It might not be measurable. It might be the entire arc of becoming. From the bang, to the now, to the far future. And that, dear listener, means you're part of it. You're not outside looking in. You're in the story. You're made of the story. And when you breathe, when you dream, when you wonder what's out there, you're the universe looking back at itself. You're still adrift, like a balloon someone let go of in the dark. But now that you've touched time itself, you begin to wonder what lies beneath it all. Not just what's big or what's old, but what's real. You begin to suspect the largest thing in the universe might not be a structure at all. Maybe it's the fabric of space-time. It's not just a poetic metaphor. It's literal. Physicists describe space and time as a unified entity, a malleable, stretchy medium that bends, ripples, and flows. You're not just floating in space, you're floating on it, like a leaf in a slow, cold ocean. Here's the kicker: that fabric can be bent. When something has mass like a planet, a star, or your Uncle Gerald, it warps the fabric of space-time. And that warp is what we call gravity. Einstein flipped the universe inside out with that idea. Gravity isn't a force pulling things together, it's just stuff following curves in the fabric, like marbles rolling toward a dent in a trampoline. And you're on that trampoline too. Earth makes a little dimple in space-time. The moon rolls around in it. The sun, a massive dent. The black hole at the center of the galaxy, a bottomless well. But even that black hole, terrifying and enormous, still exists within the fabric. It's not bigger than the universe. It's just a part of the quilt. You float now over a vast, undulating plain of invisible threads. Each galaxy is a node, each star a knot, each moment a stitch. And then, something passes beneath you. A gravitational wave. These aren't just poetic ripples. They're real. First detected in 2015, these are literal waves in space-time caused by titanic events like black holes colliding. Imagine two celestial sumo wrestlers slamming into each other so hard that the universe itself shakes. And that shake travels billions of light years to gently bump our detectors, barely nudging a laser's reflection by a fraction of a proton's width. You feel the wave pass beneath you. It doesn't jolt. It hums. A low, slow flex of the universe's skin. Scientists still debate what gravitational waves might reveal about the early universe. Some even believe these ripples might be the echoes of inflation itself, the aftershocks of the Big Bang still ringing through cosmic time. Here's an odd fact while you digest that. You can't burp in space. Without gravity, the gas in your stomach doesn't separate from the liquid. So astronauts, no burping. Just careful sipping and silent regrets. Now back to the largest mystery. If space-time is a fabric, what's under it? Is it made of something, pixels, strings, vibes? Some scientists think the fabric isn't continuous at all. They believe space-time is quantized, made of tiny units like atoms are to matter. This hypothetical scale is called the Planck length, so small that it makes a proton look like a planet. At this scale, space might not be smooth, it might jitter, foam, flicker. It might not even be real in the way we think. This leads us to one of the weirdest, slipperiest ideas ever whispered in a physics department hallway. The universe might be a hologram. Yes. You, your pillow, your cat, your dreams, all possibly a projection from a two-dimensional surface at the edge of space. The holographic principle suggests that everything we experience is encoded on a distant boundary. that the three-dimensional world we live in is a kind of shadow, not fake, just processed. Like watching a movie, real emotions, real popcorn. But the story is flickering light. Is it true? We don't know. But black holes seem to play by those rules. The information they contain appears to be stored on their event horizon, the 2D surface, not the 3D interior. So the biggest thing in the universe might be information, not matter, not energy, not even space, but bits, patterns, codes, language. And maybe you're a character in the sentence the universe is trying to write. Here's a lighthearted brain tickle: sloths can hold their breath longer than dolphins. Why? Because they slow their heart rate so drastically, their oxygen lasts forever. Majestic moss-covered meditation machines. Anyway, back to space. If the universe is made of information, if reality is coded like software, then the largest thing might not be outside you at all. It might be the network, the lattice of logic, the grand computation humming along every Planck second. And that makes you feel strangely okay. You don't have to understand it all to be part of it. You already are. Your atoms are vibrating in tune with space-time. Your heartbeat is synced with gravity. Your thoughts, little waves on a great cosmic sea. So here you lie inside a universe that might be infinite, inside a multiverse that might be bubbling inside a fabric that might be pixelated, inside a simulation that might be whispering. You belong here. Still with me, good. Because the next step is deeper, not larger. You descend, not outward, not forward inward, not to escape the universe, but to finally inhabit it. You've seen the galaxies. You've touched the edge of time. You've felt space ripple beneath your imaginary toes. Now you're drifting into the quiet spaces between atoms, between particles, between the very building blocks of everything you've ever known. This is a new kind of vast, a vastness inside. You zoom through the fabric of your own body, through cells, mitochondria, strands of DNA, lazily twisting like noodle art, through proteins shaped like tiny paper origami cranes, through water molecules bouncing in chaotic happy clusters, and then atoms, mostly empty. Atoms are over 999% empty space. You are by volume a well-organized vacuum. Even the nucleus, the tiny dense core of an atom smaller than a pinhead compared to the cloud of electrons flitting around it like caffeinated fireflies. And yet, this emptiness is reality. Inside these infinitesimal realms, particles pop in and out of existence. Virtual particles wink into being, for a blink of time interact and vanish. This is the quantum foam, the chaotic fizz at the foundation of space-time. And it's here where the very idea of large begins to collapse. You see, the quantum world doesn't play by your rules. Particles exist in multiple places at once. They spin both clockwise and counterclockwise. They aren't even things until you measure them. You're not just observing, you're shaping. The act of looking collapses possibilities into a single truth. Isn't that beautiful? The universe waits for you to decide what's real. Scientists still debate what this means. Is reality fundamentally random? Are there multiple parallel outcomes for every choice you make? Or does the wave function just quietly roll its eyes and say, "Okay, fine, you picked that one. Here's something to fry your sleepy brain." Electrons don't orbit atoms like tiny planets. They exist in clouds of probability smeared out across space, only choosing a position when you demand it. Reality isn't built from bricks. It's built from maybes. And if you're made of atoms, and atoms are made of probabilities, what does that make you? Maybe it means you're not a solid object. Maybe you're a ripple, a pattern held together by memory and metabolism. Here's a cheerful side note. The total number of bacteria living inside you outnumbers your human cells. You're not just in the universe. You're also a multiverse of microbes having a great time in your left nostril. Back to the quantum realm. You're now passing quarks and gluons, the particles inside protons and neutrons. And beyond that? Maybe strings, tiny vibrating loops of energy, if string theory holds true. Each loop playing a frequency. Each vibration defining a particle's identity. Like a cosmic instrument playing the symphony of matter. And if these strings are real, then everything, your toes, your toothbrush, your unspoken thoughts, are just music. Patterns vibrating in 11 dimensions. So here, at the smallest level imaginable, where distances are measured in Planck lengths, you may have found something astonishing. The universe is structured, not random, not chaotic, but patterned, textured, intentional even if it's not sentient. The largest thing might not be a structure you can point to. It might be this pattern repeated at every scale in every direction. From superclusters to atoms, from galaxies to neurons, the structure echoes. The same branching forms, the same spirals, the same waves. This is scale invariance, a concept where patterns repeat across levels of magnitude. It's why galaxies and hurricanes and seashells in your ear all look weirdly alike. Maybe the universe is fractal, not infinite in distance, but infinite in detail. And the closer you look, the more it reveals not answers, but versions, like mirrors reflecting mirrors, like dreams dreaming dreams. Here's something perfectly ridiculous. Cows have best friends. They form bonds. They get stressed when separated. Yes, even the universe's moo machines understand connection. So what's the takeaway? You've traveled to the largest known structures and now the smallest. You've seen the universe expand outward and dissolve inward. And now, you feel them merging. Because scale isn't a ladder, it's a circle. The vastness above and the smallness below, they reflect each other. And you're right in the middle. The perfect place to feel both. You exist at a scale where stars and electrons make sense, where you can contemplate both with a cup of cocoa and a slightly furrowed brow. The universe didn't put you here to be overwhelmed. It placed you here because this is where wonder lives. You're not lost. You're the link. So let's pause. Feel your breath. That's the quantum field vibrating. That's cosmic inflation humming. That's you rippling softly on the surface of something very, very big and very, very close. You're weightless again. Still. Quiet. You've gone outward. You've gone inward. But now you float somewhere stranger between ideas, between sizes, between all the cosmic landmarks that could be called the largest thing and a deeper realization that none of them ever stood alone. The universe you begin to see isn't made of pieces, it's made of relationships. Nothing exists in isolation. Not stars, not galaxies, not atoms, not you. You're cradled by a cosmic web of connections. The Milky Way pulls on Andromeda. Gravity holds your feet to Earth. Quantum particles entangle across light years. Your thoughts are shaped by starlight and serotonin and the way your grandmother made soup. And maybe that's the largest thing, not a wall or a bubble or a simulation, but interdependence. The way everything from quasars to quarks is woven together. You drift now through that web, not the galaxy-shaped one, but something softer, invisible. It shimmers with causality, with feedback, with an endless series of this caused that. And you're not just floating in it. You are it. Here's a fun, useless fact. While your brain marinates in that idea, octopus DNA is so strange that scientists have literally described it as alien. Not from aliens, just alarmingly different from anything else. Their brains wrapped around their esophagus. Their arms taste what they touch. That's the universe being playful. And here's the truth: no one tells you in school the universe isn't just large. It's alive with structure. It wants to organize, not consciously but rhythmically, predictably, lovingly even. Gravity brings things together. Entropy spreads them out. And somehow in that tug of war, stars are born. Planets spin. Civilizations rise. You get weird songs stuck in your head at 3 a.m. This tension between chaos and order is everywhere. It's what made galaxies swirl. It's what made DNA twist. It's what makes your thoughts cascade like dominoes when you lie awake at night, wondering whether dogs understand mirrors. Let's talk about consciousness for a moment. We don't know what it is. We don't know why it happens. And yet, here you are. A sentient ripple, a thinking cluster of atoms, a question mark attached to a nervous system. You're not just part of the universe. You're the part that's aware of being part. Scientists still debate whether consciousness is an emergent property of complexity or something more fundamental. Could it be a basic feature of the universe like mass or charge, something baked into the cosmic recipe? If so, then the largest thing in the universe might be awareness itself. Because if there's no one to see it, to wonder at it, to name it, does big even mean anything? You laugh gently at yourself. It's a sleepy, muffled kind of laugh, the kind you make when you realize you left your tea in the microwave 2 hours ago. Again. Here's another little delight. There's a species of jellyfish that can reverse its aging. When injured, it reverts to a younger state and starts over. Immortal, soft, squishy, floating through the deep with zero paperwork. The universe, too, might loop. Some models suggest that after expanding, it might contract again. A big crunch, or maybe a big bounce, endlessly rebirthing itself. Some models suggest it fizzles out its energy, smeared across eternity in a slow, quiet heat death. Others whisper of a cyclic cosmos, a heartbeat made of eons, each one pulsing with galaxies and time. We don't know. And maybe that's okay. You've been taught to crave answers, but maybe the questions are the universe's real gift. Because each question opens more space inside you. And that space, it's where wonder lives. It's where curiosity tiptoes in and turns on the lamp. It's where you lie now, glowing with everything you've ever wanted to understand. So if someone asked you now, what is the largest thing in the universe, you might just smile and say, depends. What scale are you dreaming in tonight? Because the answer isn't fixed. It isn't static. It's not a number you can memorize for a quiz. It's a feeling of movement, of connectedness, of perspective, of knowing you are here, part of the biggest story ever told, and still small enough to miss the microwave beeping. You open your eyes, figuratively, maybe literally, and feel different. Not bigger, not smaller, just placed. Like you've been set gently into a socket in the universe that was always waiting for you to notice. The journey's been vast, sure, but you've also been tracing a shape, the shape of everything. And now you're standing or floating or reclining in that one comfy dent in your mattress before a final kind of frontier, the unknowable. It isn't empty. It's brimming with possibility. You look back across everything you've seen, the planets, the stars, The glittering highway of galaxies, the dark matter, scaffolding, the echo of the Big Bang, the quantum fog, the speculation-soaked edges of reality. And now you realize each of those things, however massive, was just a facet, a side panel on a vast, rotating disco ball of existence. No single thing was the largest, because no single thing was alone. The idea of largest assumes we can draw borders, that we can say this ends here and that begins there. But space doesn't work that way. Time doesn't. And maybe reality doesn't either. Here's a strange but true detail. The human brain can't actually feel wetness. There are no receptors for wet. Your brain just combines temperature, pressure, and texture and guesses. Maybe the same thing happens with the cosmos. You don't perceive its full shape. You just guess. Piece together clues. Construct an image that feels true. And what a wild, beautiful guess it is. So here's a question you might not expect. What if the largest thing in the universe is your perspective? That's not woo-woo. It's physics. The observable universe, the one you can measure, is centered on you. Not because you're special, but because light has only had time to reach you from certain places. If someone were watching from another galaxy, their observable universe would be different. Centered on them, each perspective makes a different map. This isn't ego, it's relativity. And it means every being with eyes or ears or sensors or questions has their own cosmic fingerprint. Your version of the universe is yours. Personal, immediate, real. Even if it overlaps with everyone else's, no one sees it exactly like you. And if that doesn't feel massive, I don't know what does. Here's a final strange gem for your sleep sack. There's a galaxy out there made almost entirely of dark matter. We can't see it. We can only detect its gravity. It's like a ghost town made of whispers. A reminder the majority of what exists, we can't detect. Not with our eyes. Not with our machines. Not even with our metaphors. Scientists still debate what dark matter and dark energy truly are. They make up 95% of the universe's mass energy budget. That's right. All the stars, planets, people, poetry, that's just 5%. You, my friend, are made of statistical noise. And somehow, beautifully, you notice. You notice sunrises. You notice strange facts about jellyfish. You notice when someone laughs with their eyes before their mouth moves. And you notice this, that you're floating inside something you'll never fully grasp. And you're okay with that. Because maybe mystery is part of the design. Maybe the largest thing in the universe is the space left blank, the margin for dreaming. It's the silence between stars, the pause in the sentence, the beat before the answer. And in that silence, the universe whispers, you don't have to know everything. You just have to feel that it's there. So you lie back wherever you are. Your bed, a couch, a rooftop, a patch of carpet you fell asleep on while listening to this. And you let go of trying to name the largest thing. Because the truth is, it's not a galaxy. It's not a wall of stars. It's not a multiverse. It's not even space-time. It's this moment, where everything you've ever known folds softly into the dark and the unknowable sighs and becomes a lullaby. You feel it now, the shift. It's no longer about finding the largest thing. It's about being in it. Not as a visitor, not even as an explorer, but as something the universe made on purpose just so it could look back at itself. That realization settles into you like a blanket still warm from the dryer. You've asked what the largest thing in the universe is, but by now you've noticed it changes depending on how you look. From your bedroom, the sun feels huge. From Pluto, the sun looks like a dot. From Andromeda, the entire Milky Way is a faint smudge. From the edge of the observable universe, even superclusters look like powdered sugar on a black cake. So maybe the largest thing isn't about scale. Maybe it's about reach. And what has the furthest reach? Not light, not gravity. Curiosity. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. The first galaxies formed around 400 million years after the Big Bang. Life on Earth didn't show up until 3.5 billion years ago. And complex thought-language questions. Those are new, and yet here you are, lying in the dark, wondering where the edge is. That might make curiosity the newest force in the universe, and paradoxically, the one with the longest fingers. It stretches across generations, between minds, across galaxies. It builds telescopes, launches probes, forges theories, writes bedtime science scripts for people trying to fall asleep and maybe wake up a little smarter. Let's take a breath. And while you do, did you know that sea cucumbers can eject their internal organs when threatened, then grow them back later? That's their version of a reset button. We should all be so lucky. Back to your thoughts. Maybe the largest thing isn't a physical structure. Maybe it's a question. Because questions never sit still. They stretch. They pull. They open. They make space inside your head where the universe can live. And the most deliciously unanswered question of all. Why is there something rather than nothing? That's the big one. The one no scientist, philosopher, or well-meaning uncle at Thanksgiving has ever truly solved. Why does the universe exist? Why does it have laws? Do those laws make beauty and brains and breath? The best theories describe how it all unfolded. But the why? That's still an empty chair at the table. Some physicists propose vacuum fluctuations, that nothingness is unstable and inevitably creates something. Others suggest anthropic reasoning. We ask these questions because we exist in a universe that allows us to exist. Duh. Some go even deeper. What if the universe isn't a thing at all, but a mathematical structure that simply had to exist, that numbers and logic are more fundamental than atoms, and some lovingly just shrug and say, "We don't know." Yet. And in that yet lies everything. Hope, science, imagination, that itch behind your thoughts when you stare at the sky too long. So tonight, as you lie there, you are part of a tradition as old as thinking. You are letting the universe ask itself a question. Through you. That's huge. Here's something impossibly tiny to counterbalance that hugeness. There's a particle called a neutrino that's so light and so fast that trillions of them pass through your body every second without touching a single atom. You're a cosmic toll booth for invisible particles, and you didn't even charge them. Now hold this paradox gently. You are vast, and you are fleeting. You are built from stardust, and you are also the dust's dream of walking around. If the universe is a story, you are a sentence. If the universe is a song, you are a single sustained note. If the universe is a question, you are its punctuation. And just like that, something shifts in the dark. You no longer need to find the largest thing, because somehow, somewhere along the journey, you became it. Not by size, but by wonder. Still awake, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe you're drifting at the edges now, halfway between thoughts and sleep, where dreams and deep science meet and swap jackets like old friends at a coat check. That's okay. This part doesn't need full attention. It just needs presence. Because now we're not going farther. We're staying still and letting the rest of the universe move around us for a change. You lie there quiet, But out there, everything's still happening. Galaxies continue to drift. Dark energy still pushes space apart. Stars are being born. Others are collapsing into black holes that quietly erase information like cosmic librarians. The expansion continues. But not forever. Let's talk endings. You've heard of the Big Bang, but have you heard of the Big Freeze or the Big Rip or the Big Crunch? No, buckle up gently. In the Big Freeze, the universe keeps expanding forever. Galaxies drift farther apart. Stars burn out. Black holes evaporate. Eventually, everything spreads into such cold emptiness that not even light can find someone to talk to. It's not dramatic. It's slow. It's quiet. It's lonely. The universe goes dark. In the Big Crunch, gravity takes the wheel. After expanding for billions of years, the universe reverses. Galaxies rush inward. Space contracts. Everything collapses into a single point again. And maybe another Big Bang follows. A cosmic reset button pressed by existence itself. But in the Big Rip, things get spooky. Dark energy gets stronger over time. It stretches space faster and faster. Eventually, galaxies are torn apart. Then stars. Then planets. Then molecules. Then atoms. Then space itself. The universe rips at the seams and unravels into who knows what. Scientists still debate which fate is most likely. The universe hasn't made up its mind. And frankly, it's in no rush. Here's a softer truth: you don't need to know how the story ends to love the chapter you're in. You are here right now in a golden sliver of time. A universe warm enough to have oceans, old enough to have galaxies, young enough to still have questions, and just the right weirdness level for memes, mangoes, and Mozart to coexist. That's a pretty special moment. And speaking of moments, here's one for your trivia bank. Saturn's moon Titan has lakes of liquid methane. You could fly there, paddle a methane canoe under a peach-orange sky, and sip, well, maybe not sip anything, but you'd have a view that poets would weep for. So many places you'll never visit in person. And yet right now you are visiting them. With your brain. With your breath. With that quiet telescope in your chest called imagination. And here's the thing about imagination. It builds space inside you. Room for awe. Room for science. Room for stars. If the universe is expanding, maybe you are too. Your sense of wonder can stretch farther than your arms. Your questions can outlast your heartbeat. Your dreams can travel light years in seconds. And they don't need oxygen. You were never just a body in a bed. You were always a participant. A spark. A quiet node in the largest neural network the cosmos ever conjured. And if that sounds like poetry, it is. But it's also physics. The atoms in your blood were forged in stars. Your thoughts are electrical patterns shaped by particles that obey cosmic laws. You are what stardust does when it learns to speak. So as the universe continues to swell and stars keep living and dying and dark matter holds galaxies together like invisible string, just remember you are inside the process. Not beside it. Not observing it. Inside it. Right now. This second. This breath. And in this breath, the largest thing in the universe isn't some wall of galaxies or hypothetical multiverse. It's the awareness of all of it. Your awareness. That strange little miracle that lets the entire cosmos curl up next to you at bedtime and whisper, "You saw me. You felt me. You were here. You're still here. Still listening, still floating, still tracing the curve of a question that began long before your birth and will likely outlive the last star. but somehow it's wrapped around you now, like a scarf made of starlight. You've come so far, from quarks to clusters, from atoms to ancient photons, from something that looked like science into something that feels like meaning. And now you're beginning to realize the largest thing in the universe might be something we can't chart on a map, can't photograph, can't even simulate. Because it isn't out there. It's this moment, this ability to hold everything you've ever learned inside a single breath. You shift slightly physically or mentally. Doesn't matter. The whole universe shifts with you. Let's talk about scale blindness for a second. It's the brain's way of giving up. You can't truly feel the distance to the Andromeda galaxy. You can't picture a billion years. So your brain flattens it, makes it poetic. Oh wow, it says that's big. And then it changes the subject to snacks. That's okay. Brains weren't built to understand the universe. They were built to keep early humans from eating poisonous berries and to remember where we left our sandals. But even with that limitation, we've managed to model galaxies, decode cosmic radiation, discover gravitational waves, and launch robots beyond the heliosphere. We've even sent a metal plate into space just in case someone finds it, with a map to Earth, a math lesson, and a mixtape of greetings from 1977. That's what we do. We reach. And the thing we're reaching for might just be understanding, might just be connection, might just be each other. Here's something delicate and true. The atoms in your left hand likely came from a different star than the atoms in your right. You are a galactic mosaic, a walking collection of exploded histories. Isn't that what the universe is too, a blend of beginnings? A swirl of overlapping endings. A structure that doesn't collapse but dances. Because structure is just the shape that stories take when they settle. And you are part of the story. The galaxy you're in is orbiting the local group's barycenter. The local group is falling toward the Virgo supercluster. The Virgo supercluster is streaming toward the Great Attractor. And you are lying still while every atom in your body hitches a ride through this river of motion. You're not separate from it. You are part of this cosmic current. You are motion made conscious, and the largest thing in the universe. Maybe it's not the foam-like web of galaxy clusters. Maybe it's not the echo of the Big Bang or the endless vacuum between everything. Maybe the largest thing is the fact that you noticed. That in a universe filled with 2 trillion galaxies and 400 billion stars in your own, and enough hydrogen to fuse for another 10 billion years. You sat up one night, stared at the ceiling, and whispered, "What even is all of this, that whisper?" It shook the silence of 13.8 billion years. Because the moment the universe was able to ask the question, it also started answering itself. Through you. Through every thought you've had tonight. Through the fact that you care enough to wonder at all. And somewhere out past the edge of light, or maybe tucked behind your own heart, the cosmos smiled quietly. It wasn't alone anymore. Let's pause. Really pause. Forget the stars, the voids, the walls of galaxies. Forget the multiverse, the string vibrations, the cosmic microwave background. Forget the flashy science and the thrilling scale and the jellyfish that can reverse aging. Just listen to this quiet, to your breath, to the small, steady rhythm of being here. Right now, the largest thing in the universe is peace. And peace doesn't need to be measured in light years. It doesn't care how many atoms you contain. It doesn't need to prove itself with theories or equations. Peace is a stillness that stretches in every direction, bigger than any cluster of galaxies. Maybe the real scale of the universe is subjective, because you can feel enormous when you're sad, or microscopic when you're in love. You can feel like a speck when you stare at the stars, or like the whole universe when someone remembers your birthday. And here's the brilliant trick. Both feelings are valid, because you contain both. You're a tightrope walker across the spectrum of scale. One foot in the microscopic, the other in the mythic. Here's a soft fact to tuck under your pillow. The phrase cosmos comes from a Greek word meaning order or harmony. It's not just space, it's structured space. Space with a story. And your story is one of the few where the main character realizes they are made of cosmos too. Not metaphorically, literally. Carbon from stars, oxygen from ancient clouds, iron from supernovae. You are not in the universe. You are the universe, self-aware, self-reflecting, softly breathing in a quiet room. That might be the most colossal truth of all. You don't need to go looking for the largest thing in the universe anymore, because now you realize it's not an object. It's not even a place. It's a relationship between time and you, between space and meaning, between curiosity and silence. This whole journey began with a question, but the further you've gone, the less you've needed an answer. Because questions are the architecture of awe, and awe is bigger than stars. It's bigger than data. It's bigger than the Great Wall of galaxies. It's what happens when understanding meets humility. It's what you feel when you realize you're not insignificant, because the universe is vast. You're precious because you're here to notice. So let's walk back down that ladder of scale, from galaxies to solar systems, to your planet, to your city, to your street, to your room, to your breath, to that little twitch in your fingers as your mind tries to hold on. To this moment. The universe will keep expanding. Dark energy will keep pushing. The voids will grow. Stars will fade. And somewhere in the middle of it all, you existed. Once. Briefly. Brilliantly. And maybe if the universe has memory or poetry or even just a faint sense of déjà vu, it will remember the moment you looked up and said, "Wow, you've made it." Not to the end of the universe, but to the edge of understanding. The soft, trembling perimeter where thought fades into wonder. And now you're here not to find a final answer, but to feel something bigger than answers. You float once more alone and not alone. The stars are still burning. The voids are still stretching. Your heart somehow still keeps time with all of it. You've traveled the cosmos without moving. You've wrapped yourself in distances no rocket could cross, in concepts no textbook can carry. And now, like all explorers, you look back and ask, what did I find? And the answer is a mirror. Every structure, every expansion, every ripple in the fabric of space and time was a reflection of you, of your ability to wonder, of your capacity to dream while half asleep and slightly tangled in your sheets. It wasn't really about the largest thing. It was about whether you could be still long enough to let the largest truth settle in that you are not outside the universe studying it. You are inside it. You are it. You are its thought, its whisper. It's, what if you're not less because of the size of the cosmos? You're more because you've made it your home. Right now, somewhere out there, a galaxy is colliding with another galaxy. A star is exploding. A black hole is quietly devouring the remnants of a dead sun. And in a small pocket of space-time, you are simply resting, wrapped in the warmth of knowing. Here's your final odd fact. There's a cloud of alcohol drifting in space near the center of the Milky Way. It's massive. It smells like rum and raspberries. The universe brews its own wild party snacks. So if it ever feels too vast, too cold, too abstract, just remember. There's a raspberry-scented gas cloud 26,000 light-years away, and somehow, that's real too. This entire bedtime journey you've moved without muscles, traveled without suitcases, and explored everything from one beautiful vantage point, your curious, beating mind. And maybe, just maybe, that mind is the largest thing of all, because it made room for all of this. So as you breathe in and out, feel the scale of things shrink down gently to the room you're in. The bed, the blanket, the gentle noise in the distance, maybe a hum, maybe silence. You're safe, you're home, and you've carried the cosmos with you. Not in your hands, not in your pocket, but in that quiet, glowing part of you that still, despite everything, wants to know more. Let that wonder be your nightlight. Let it watch over you. Let it whisper back to the stars, I was here. And now, as our journey gently closes, let's soften the pace. You've wandered through the immeasurable, floated past stars and atoms, black holes and quantum whispers. You've explored the cosmic web, traced the edges of the observable universe, and even dipped a toe into the unknowable. You've considered that maybe the largest thing isn't out there at all. Maybe it's in here, your awareness, your capacity to hold so much wonder, so much silence. The largest thing in the universe might be the ability to ask the question itself. And you did. You asked. You stayed. You traveled not to escape the world, but to feel more of it. So as you drift now, fading toward sleep, your thoughts like soft sparks tumbling through velvet darkness, know this. The universe is still out there, expanding, glowing, calling for you when you're ready again. And you're part of it. Always have been. Sleep well, cosmic traveler. You've earned your rest. End of script. Good night.